Have you ever mistaken something in the night sky as a star? What would you do if you received a phone call from someone who sounded like your friend, but it wasn't actually them? Did a family see a strange UFO formation on the roof of their apartment? Today, we test the believability of Extraterrestrial Encounters, Volume 3.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual.
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
That's right. Happy Tuesday. It's a new episode of Believing the Bizarre.
That's right. It's a good day that day.
It's always a good day.
Tuesday.
It's an alien day.
Wow.
And not only is it an alien day, these are curated listener submissions that have to do with UFOs or aliens.
I love the curated.
Well, they are. And we're tapped, by the way. So if you want another one of these, you better go find some.
Send them in.
Go find some of those creative writers on Reddit, or go getting abducted by aliens, because we are tapped.
Or both.
But I'm excited. We got aliens. We got UFOs. It's mostly UFOs, but that's cool. That's cool. But before we get into the episode, I do want to thank our newest patrons, who include Ian, Steven, and Tucker. We appreciate all of you gentlemen, fine gentlemen. What kind of stuff can they expect in the Patreon, Charlie?
There's a bunch to expect. There's a lot of games. There's like quizzes. There's quizzes we give each other about the episodes. There's quizzes Ben gives us. There's
Who's Ben?
Producer Ben, of course, who mostly works behind the scenes on the main episodes, but in the Patreon, he is plentiful.
Yeah, so we get quizzed on our own episodes. We do mini encounter episodes. We watch horror movies with you guys. We review horror movies. Lots of fun stuff over there on Patreon, so make sure to go check that out. But with that said, let's get into... Oh, actually, no, I do want to shoot this out too. We do have our survey. It is live.
Yeah.
If you go to our Instagram account, I don't know how we probably posted it on Facebook, but Instagram is probably the best place. You can find our survey. If you take the survey, it's about 20 questions or so. You're automatically entered to win a free BTB shirt and a $50 Visa gift card.
Hey, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, we just need
Just your thoughts and opinions.
just your thoughts and opinions. It helps us to help you to enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show. This is really just for you.
All right, I got 4 UFO alien themed stories for you. The last 4.
I'm really excited about this because the questions were intriguing to me.
That's good. That's the point of them. So
they hooked me in every week, honestly.
all right, so the first story is from Gracie. She said, "Don't use my last name. I'll find you guys and hunt you down, kill you, put your head on spears, and leave them outside my door."
It's pretty intense.
Did you say my last name? She didn't say that, but she did request not to.
It was implied. It was subtext.
Which wouldn't be very nice, but I know that she didn't really say that because this is from Canada, and everyone in Canada is nice.
He said, "Oh, I'm sorry there.
Oops, sorry to kill you and take your head there." I put it on a nice stick, though.
It's got some bacon maple on it.
I used it for moose hunting. So this takes place in the outskirts of Alberta, Canada.
Yeah.
By the way, I'll give them credit. They whooped some foreign nations' ass
In hockey?
They
heard
whooped that
that,
ass.
yeah.
Whooped our ass.
Well,
But
deservedly.
Toronto is still a Bronto, and Evan Mobley is still better than Scotty Barnes.
I feel like
What do
we're
the kids say? Talk to a brick wall.
I feel like we're speaking another language here. I don't know what's going on.
So Gracie's mom loved everything about the night sky and space, and she was really into the Northern Lights, which I feel like a lot of people recently got to explore and see in different regions. Like even Ohio here. Like I had an awesome picture.
Yeah, was that over the summer?
It was like April or May. It was, other people did see it over summer, but
Yeah.
I saw it was like late spring, like a couple minutes from my house. But I mean, if you live in Canada, you probably get more of an opportunity to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is an amazing phenomenon, and it's cool that more people have been able to see it. So on this particular night, it was just really, really clear. Probably a new moon. There was no northern lights or anything. Gracie's mom was just like, "We're gonna get in the car and we're gonna go see some stars."
Sounds like you.
Count me in. You know, I don't get to talk about that much on the podcast. I feel like I don't. You know, and I don't know how much I mention it. I am like overly fascinated with night sky.
Oh yeah, it's
Like-
something that drives you.
It drives me. I love it. I love the night. I mean, that's pretty much why I went to New Mexico. I took my family. I was like, we're going to New Mexico. Like,
I don't want to go
why?
into the middle of the night again, Dad.
I can't see the sky here. You could see the sky there. So they get in the car and they're driving the outskirts of town. And so they get there and Gracie's saying how her mom's like super into it. And she's got like this app so she can see like the planets and the constellations and the Milky Way, which I use Star Walk 2. I'm not saying that's what she used, but it sounds like Star Walk 2. Not a sponsor, obviously.
You are definitely one mental breakdown away from buying an ocean ticket to go into the middle of the ocean.
You know, in Moana, there's that scene where they're at night, and I'm just like, oh, like, that's so cool. Like, exactly. I would risk my life in the ocean.
Yeah, just one mental breakdown away.
Yeah, my luck could be fucking cloudy. I'm like dehydrated, dying. I'm like, at least I get to see a night sky. It's just cloudy. That Ohio ocean. So they stayed in the spot for a while, taking in the stars, but they heard some coyotes in the distance. So it was Gracie, her mom, dad, and they brought their 2 dogs. And so they're like, we got these dogs. There's coyotes. We don't need this fighting or this bickering. So they loaded them up in the car, and they didn't go home. They were like, let's go further.
Okay, sure.
Let's go even deeper out there and see more stars. So at this point, they're like 20 or 30 minutes away from their town.
Yeah.
And here's a quote from Gracie. I was around 10 or 11 at the time, but I still remember vividly my mom slowing down and turning her head to look out the passenger window before saying, "What the hell is that?" This caused my father and me both to turn our heads out the window to see what Mom was looking at. And what we saw was nothing that we'd ever seen before. Outside the window was a giant, bright red light. Now, we've never experienced or seen anything like this before, and 10-year-old me immediately jumped to aliens, which my parents kind of just gave me a look, but at the same time, they didn't deny my theory. Now, we couldn't exactly tell how far away it was, but I do know after a few minutes of staring at it, I heard my father ask, "Wait, is it moving?" My mother's eyes had widened at the sight of this light as it was moving closer and closer to our vehicle. She was ready to speed off, but my dad stopped her in hopes to maybe try and figure out what this thing was. But she wasn't prepared to sit there for the event. She didn't want to mess like shit with this. She had no interest in being here. And the countryside at this point was deathly silent. I don't even think I heard crickets. All I could hear was the whispers of my parents from the front seat, questioning the authenticity of this red light that was displayed in front of them. Unquote. So what are you thinking at this instance here?
What in the hell was that?
Oh no, it's an UFO.
Do you need some help there? It's scary. It's a scary image. Like this big bright light. You said it's like in the middle of the field, right?
She wasn't very descriptive of where it was.
Okay.
She's leaving that up to you guys.
I'm assuming we're in the middle of nowhere. Assuming from the lights, lack of lights for the sky.
Even the elk are like, oh no, not again.
And it was like, wow. You can only assume what's going to happen next. I don't know.
I know. What do you assume is going to happen next?
I'm assuming they're going to lose some fucking time.
Oh, no, that's not what happens.
Oh, okay.
So after what felt like a half hour, which was probably just a few minutes, Gracie's parents decide that this red light's speed has increased. It was definitely a moving object, and not only that, it was rapidly moving closer to the car. So a few seconds later, the dogs start barking wildly. Like, they're like, bark, bark, this is weird.
I know that life. Yeah.
Oop, like, we gotta go. And that sort of broke them out of this trance of watching this flying red light come towards them. So Gracie's mom slammed her foot on the gas, and they sped back towards their home. And the whole family still questions to this day what they saw, but Gracie stands by the belief that it was alien.
I'm glad that they went home after the UFO encounter, and not the coyotes, but whatever.
Canine tussle?
Yeah.
I think the coyotes were just warning them. There's some UFO stuff over there, guys. You should leave. And they're like, deeper.
Let's go.
Further.
Let's go farther into the woods. Okay. So I don't think they outran this thing. I think there's no way a car could outrun a UFO.
Well,
what?
My Honda goes 140. I'm just saying.
Ain't no way.
I've never tested that. Never needed to.
I think UFOs can break the speed of light, so definitely can probably beat the 140 mile Honda.
Well, I mean, okay, when you're seeing a video of someone running from like a tiger, I don't think logically, like if they sat down, they're like, can I outrun this tiger? In that moment, they're not thinking logically. It's the fight or flight.
No, I'm just saying that I think that maybe whatever this was not necessarily chasing them.
Like it let them go?
Yes.
Because if it wanted them, it would have had them.
Exactly. That was my thought process. Maybe it was military chasing them off. I don't know. We have to come back to the description, I think.
The Canadian military. Are you guys cold? We got coats.
the Royal Mounted Police.
Yeah, that was just a big Mountie with a big red spotlight.
Isn't that crazy? That's like their CIA. It's the Royal Mounted Police.
Dope.
Yeah, but they're not on horses anymore. Or what if they are?
Moose.
They're on moose.
All right, so story number 2. This is from Bridget. Takes place in 2017 and occurs in eastern Arizona. She didn't want to give... People are secretive out there today. I like it, though. No last names, no cities. It's cool. We're here for it.
The east of Arizona.
So Bridget was 19 when this took place in 2017. She was still living at home with her parents, but she liked the freedom of being an adult and what that gave her.
Yeah.
So she worked at a small restaurant near her house, but she liked spending evenings and weekends with her friends watching scary movies and playing Overwatch.
Hell yeah.
I was never really into Overwatch.
Did
you like it?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Overwatch a lot. Someone sent us a figure from Overwatch because of...
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes. Anna, if you're wondering.
So one night after an evening shift at the restaurant she worked at, she had plans to go over her friend's house, Jules, and watch Get Out. Which,
good one.
Great movie. My favorite Peele movie, I have to say. It's Get Out. So she took a quick shower after work to make sure she didn't smell like French fries.
Yeah, get the work stink off.
Got to. And then she headed over to Jules' house. And she believes that she left between 10 and 10:30 p.m. So it's September. It's still warm. It's Arizona. And a clear night. And Jules lived about 20 minutes away. And about halfway on her drive, she noticed something strange. She felt really, really exhausted. Now, she had just worked a full shift and it was late, but she's made this drive plenty of times. She reiterated that this was a normal thing. It's like work, shower, go play games, work, shower, go watch a movie, work, shower, go hang out.
And then when you get off work too, you have that after work burst of energy.
Yeah,
too.
the wave. You're like, okay, you're like all tired during work.
Yeah.
And then the minute you clock out, you're like, all right, let's
go
I'm
party.
alive. Yeah.
So many times.
Always. So this was strange to her. She noticed that this was strange, but everything just felt really off. So here's a quote from Bridget. I ended up having to pull over on the side of the road, which I never do. It was a weird mix of my body feeling like I could literally fall asleep at the snap of a finger, but also my chest heaving in and out like I was going to have a panic attack. It was an incredibly disorienting feeling, unquote. So she's going through it.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, so she's on the way to her friend's house. She's about halfway, so 10 minutes from home. And she pulls over, and it's this mixture of, like, I'm ready to fall asleep, but also, like, anxiety. Weird kind of combination there.
Yeah. It's almost, you almost can't picture that.
So at the very least, she wanted to take a moment to just relax. And she also decided, well, I better call Jules and let her know I'm going to be late. Or if the feeling didn't go away, that she wasn't going to go at all. So she gets her phone out. And to her surprise, when she's looking down at her phone, she sees that Jules was calling her.
Oh,
so
okay,
she's
that's
like,
good timing.
Oh, yeah, convenient. This is good. So she picks up the phone to tell her that she was literally just about to call her and what was happening. But Jules' voice sounded off on the other end of the line. And she asked Bridget where she was and that she was expecting her.
Oh.
And while the voice did sound remotely like Jules, Bridget notes that it had this strange, like, second guessing, like, is this really her? Am I really talking to Jules? So while she has the phone up to her head, she's like, okay, maybe I was mistaken by who called me. I'm out of it. I'm disoriented. Maybe, So she pulls the phone down. You know how when you look at your iPhone, it says who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So she pulls her phone down to look at the name. And it's like, well, here's a quote from Bridget. I pulled the phone away to check the screen and make sure it was actually Jules who I was talking to. When I looked at the screen, I had the weirdest sensation. It was like the brightest version of my screen times 100. I was almost blinded. It made me drop my phone, and then I realized that there was light all around the car. It almost looked like it was coming from inside my car, not like it was headlights behind me, but I really couldn't even see out my windows. It was so strange, and thinking back, I actually felt calm. The exhaustion and the panicked breathing had both left me. I had no idea how long this lasted, but the next thing I remember cognitively being aware of was my phone was ringing, unquote. So the phone's ringing.
Yeah.
Snaps Bridget out of it and So she's hesitant to answer it again because
Yeah.
the whole thing is like trigger trauma, it just
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
So she's hesitant, but she reaches for it, grabs her phone, and it was Jules. So she's looking at it. It says
Okay.
Jules. Was like, okay, I'll do it. So she answers it. Thankfully, this time it sounds normal. It sounds like Jules. Everything seems to be okay. And she's asking Bridget if Bridget's okay and if everything's good and if she's still coming over. And Bridget, still being a little disoriented, was like, yeah, what? Why? What's wrong? And Jules told her that it was almost midnight, that she should have been there an hour ago, or at least gave Jules a heads up that she was running behind. And this just gave Bridget chills all over her body. So that means she had been on the side of the road for at least an hour and a half, because she thinks she left between 10 and 10:30. So let's say it was 10:30.
Yeah.
That's an hour and a half of just like side of the road.
Doing nothing.
So she did end up going to Jules' house because she was awake after that experience.
Yeah.
And explained to her what she experienced. And being fans of horror, they like scary movies apparently, Jules didn't think that she was crazy. And the first thing she asked her was to check her phone to be like, I didn't call you. Let's see what's up. And there was no record on the phone.
That's smart.
There was no record of the call on Bridget's phone. So that made Bridget think, okay, maybe I really was exhausted. I pulled over on the side of the road. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
The phone call wasn't real. The light wasn't real. And I got woken up by the phone ringing.
Yeah.
But she also admits that could be just her way of convincing her,
Coping with
it, and not thinking about what could have happened.
Oh, boy. Not a lot of these make me think abduction, but this one. Now, there are reasons to think like plausible deniability. Like, she was exhausted. She was driving, pulled over. That tracks. She doesn't have any specific memories of an abduction. Now, she is missing time, but she really could have just been asleep. We don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, in my heart of heart, it sounds awfully like abductions.
I don't think she's using the dreaming scenario as a way to cope.
Yeah.
So it makes it sound like she's willing to let it be. But from what the stories that we've done, if she wanted to know more, you could argue that maybe hypnotherapy would be the place to go.
Yeah, she could dig deeper. Even just talking about it, like in not nauseum, in length, could bring memories.
Yeah.
If she wanted to poke that hole.
If she wanted to. And maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I don't really blame her either way.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's cool that Jules was chill about it.
Yeah. Jules, the name Jules, there's a restaurant on TikTok, and the guy always goes, "Hey Jules, what kind of pizza we making today?" And that's the only thing I thought about.
Okay.
It's a pizza place in New York.
That tracks.
Yeah.
And this was Eastern Arizona.
It's probably not the same guy.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But that was Bridget's story.
Yeah.
Hopefully that never happens to you again. The one thing I would say though is, which we'll talk about a little bit in the discussion, but one reason why maybe it wasn't just falling asleep was the panic aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like to me, that is the body sensing something. Now there's a lot about Bridget we don't know. There's medical
we're not
things.
doctors.
There's probably people listening. Well, it sounds like, and we're not that. But in terms of just somebody that you would assume would pass out, unless it was anxiety if I can't fall asleep while driving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it coep be that. But it just felt like there was something more going on.
Or is her body sensing that there's danger that she can't quite comprehend in the form of the beep boop beep boop
I mean, it could be.
kind?
We will find out. We won't actually find out. We won't. All right. This next story is from Leah. And we're going to Egypt, yo.
Whoa.
We're world travelers in this episode.
That's really cool.
Canada, Arizona, Egypt.
Yeah.
It's over there.
Very close. Yeah.
Cairo, Egypt.
That's right. My dad worked in
I didn't make that up. That's where it takes place. I didn't just say the first thing that came to mind.
You were thinking just like Eddie City.
I know you guys are at home. Are like, wait, I didn't think this episode was about mummies. No, we're still talking about UFOs, you stereotypical bastards. You had a story. What were you saying?
My dad worked in Egypt. Yeah, that's all it was.
I thought he was a daddy, not a mummy.
He wasn't really either, you know.
Did he make the pyramids? Did he help?
Yeah, he's an engineer, so he did it.
The aliens hired your dad. So here's some background on Leah. She was born in Egypt in 2006. I know. I know. Oh my God. It feels so old.
Oh, you were 15?
I was 14. Her family moved to Germany in 2013. So this took place in 2012. So this was the year before they left for Germany. Okay. It's not the reason why they left for Germany. There's nothing that insane that happens.
Or was it?
Well, I don't want to say that insane. That sounds like I'm downplaying. It wasn't like this experience when they started looking for houses in Germany. Let me put it that way. So at that time, Leah was only about 6, which is crazy. And her and her family spent nights on the roof of their apartment playing, talking, and watching the stars. That just sounds dope.
Sounds very cool.
So it's like, it's a flat roof. It's like, a penthouse. Like,
I didn't think it was a challenge.
Well, no, she actually, in my defense, she emphasized in her submission that it was a flat roof.
Yeah.
But I just mean, like, it's not like they're climbing out a window and they're just like on a ledge. Like the top of the apartment building is like flat.
It's like Hey Arnold.
Yes. With the pigeon guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On this particular night, Leah and her aunt and uncle and her 2 cousins were visiting, and they were all out there.
That's cool.
It was nice. It was festive. They were sitting on a picnic blanket. They were drinking tea, just having a good time. She remembers sitting on her father's lap and messing around with her baby brother. They were fighting over this toy. But then her father curiously looked up at the sky and called out for everyone to look at what he was witnessing. And here's a quote from Leah. Quote, "In the sky were 3 round lights. Each one was coming from a different direction, one from above the other and another 2 from left and right. And they're moving slowly, but never changing their pace. We all watched in amazement as the 3 lights formed a triangle constellation above us. And just as quickly as they had appeared in the night sky, they all very quickly vanished. After that, no one said a word. All of us were too confused and shaken by the events. No one knew what to say, and so we silently ended the night and went into our apartment." So just a strange, weird experience. And
yeah. You said 3?
3, so a triangle. It was like from one side, another side.
Okay.
And then they it was worded weirdly, where like came together and then they're just like there and they're just like gone. Now, one thing that I find very interesting about this story goes back to something you just said about the previous story is I think the lights are cool. The lights are very interesting. I think what jumps out to me is everyone's reaction.
Yeah.
If we saw a strange light and there were like 8 of us, someone would be like, "Oh, that was just a plane. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, what do you guys think that was?" The fact that everyone had the same reaction is like, it wasn't about what they saw logically. It's how their body responded to it. It's like how your body accepts a stimuli, right?
Mm-hmm.
They all had the same exact response of like quiet, confused, a little freaked out, and like, we're done. Let's go inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, that to me is more damning, if you want to use that kind of a phrase, about whether or not it was UFOs. Because I think if it was just a plane, I could see one person being like, "Oh my God, what was that?" And it was like, no. Around this time, there's an airport or, but like, because they all were like, "Whoa, like, let's just end the night." Like, to me, that says that there was at least something strange about it where their body just kind of sensed it.
Yeah. They all kind of had this like saying like, that was not of this realm, of this earth. We should just go inside. And they did.
So, but that's not where the story ends. Here's a quote from Leah. "That night, I was sleeping in my parents' bed because I was too scared to sleep alone after what had happened. Huddled in my dad's arm, I distinctly remember feeling a stinging feeling in my arm, just as if someone was giving me a syringe. I was panicking, but I was too scared to open my eyes, so I tried my best just to pretend that I was asleep. It's safe to say that we never went back up there on the roof during nighttime again. To this day, me and my family are convinced that they were UFOs. I never told my parents or anyone about the events afterwards because honestly, they probably would just think I was crazy." Unquote.
That sucks that that cool like rooftop hangout spot got completely ruined for them. I actually have a question. Sometimes I think about this, like you hear stories about someone seeing something and later experiencing something like what Leah did. Do you think that like if you witness the event, you are then targeted?
You mean like if an alien can know that you know?
Yes. Like it almost feels that way sometimes. Like just by witnessing it. Like how could they know that? But also it seems that's a common thread.
I think there's two sides to it. I think one could be, yes, that the aliens are aware. I mean, that's some of the best stuff in horror movies when like you're like there's like an enemy and you're trying to fool them, but then that moment where they catch on and you're like, that's so creepy. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be that aliens have another sense where they're able to know consciously who's aware of their presence.
Mm-hmm.
The other side is that you experience something scary and then you have paranoia. And in the first part of the story could be real and the second part could be paranoia.
Get out of here, that logic.
You asked the question.
No.
Well,
I mean,
what do you think?
It doesn't make sense to me. If you see it, just because you see it, they somehow know that. And unless, I mean...
But we're also putting human abilities on aliens.
Like, it could be, like, extreme cameras all around. Like, they just have the ability to zoom in to, like, an ant from outer space, and we don't know.
It would be terrifying if that was the case. Like, if a ship can know that you saw it, even if it was an accident. Because, I mean, also could be, like, they might have known that people might see them. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of like going into this knowing, like, yeah, the people are probably going to see us, and we just have to be aware of that. Where if they feel like they got caught, maybe there's like an extra layer of like, all right, we gotta. But I mean, they didn't do anything to her, allegedly.
That we know.
Well, nothing that's shown up. I mean, it's not like they wiped her memory.
Yeah,
maybe they're tracking her.
They like, can they even see just like the eye movements on the cameras? Like that's so scary to think that they could see it from that far away. But that's me putting on like, how could they see it? I don't know. Well,
I mean, there's like, I mean, if maybe there's something in our vision that like in Metal Gear, there's cones. Yeah. And you can see where enemies are looking at all times. But maybe they can sense like mood fluctuations and they can sense panic when they're above. But if you think about it, the hardest thing would be like, if they're probably not in space, right? Like it's probably in the atmosphere, or do you think it's space? No, it's probably in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, but think about how far on the ground can see something in the atmosphere. Like if there was something, like if we went like straight up from this studio, straight up all the way to where a UFO would be, how many miles from here sees that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Some of y'all are like, the whole world could just flat. But you know, for the round folks, you know, I know there's a certain length, but you know what I mean? Like how like from your house, like could your house in the studio, from my house in the studio, see the same thing in the sky?
Right. I don't know. I have no answer. There's no way.
But that's what I mean. Like you think of the wide variety of people that have to be worried about seeing them.
Yeah.
All right. So our fourth story is from Taylor. Takes place in South Florida. So this alien encounter, UFO encounter, takes place in the most relatable way imaginable. Somebody's like, I gotta go get a package.
Sure.
A delivery came and I gotta go get it. Because we're all slaves to Amazon. So Taylor decided to take the long walk to the end of her driveway. She said a mile. I don't know if she's joking. I'm just going to assume that might have been a
exaggeration.
Joke. Now, I mean, I know friends that have like ridiculously long driveways. Like a mile is extreme. That's really extreme.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So let's just say it's long. You know?
Yeah.
Let's just say it's very long. Rural South
I'm going to go walk a mile to the end of my drive. How do you plow that?
It's
it's in Florida.
Her house is Miami, and then it goes all the way to South Beach. They get across the. No, it's rural South Florida. It's a long walk. So along the walk, she's like, I got to go get this package. I got a notification and got to get it before tomorrow.
Yeah.
So she's walking. The sun is dipping down the horizon. There's some stars in the sky, starting to get a little dark. These are the nice, tranquil thoughts you can have when your mailbox isn't attached to your house. Like this is what I have to do. And I got it. When it's cold out, I don't mind that. There would be people that just wouldn't get a hold. Bills would not get paid if I had to walk a mile every time to go get the mail.
I mean, I have a mailbox that's like a foot from my door, and sometimes I'll wait a week. So
a week?
Yeah.
You don't check your mail every day?
Hell no.
Oh, okay.
Hell no. Absolutely not.
So anyway, she's walking. She's going to get her package, but she has this weird, eerie feeling. She has this feeling that she's being watched. And this is unusual for her. This is a rural area. It's not like there's neighbors like hounding you. You know what I mean? Like this is rural. Mm-hmm. So, but she's get this feeling like I'm being watched. This is just, she doesn't like it. So here's the quote from Taylor. As I was walking, I felt like something was watching me. So I looked around and I ended up looking up at the sky. When I did, I was looking at an incredibly bright star. And my first thought was, oh, that must be the North Star. But as I thought about it, I realized, well, that's not where the North Star should be. But I brushed it off as maybe it was just a different star, and I continued my walk. So nothing really crazy there. Plus, though, the North Star Polaris is not the brightest star. Do you know the brightest star?
No. Serious?
Yeah, it is Sirius.
It is?
It is Sirius.
I did not
the
know
dog
that.
star.
That was a guess.
And for those, it is the winter sky now as the recording of this. So if you look for Orion's belt, it's like down to the left, angled. Sirius dog.
So she said, like, I know the North Star is not there. I'd be like, they're all just dots to me. Like, there's no way I could pick out one.
Well, I think it was exceptionally bright. And for some reason, we were lied to our entire life that the North Star was the brightest star. Do you remember hearing that?
I think it used to be.
Did Sirius pop up in our lifetime? Just randomly like, whoop, you're not the brightest one. You know how much, dude, Polaris must feel like shit. It's like, you guys can still call me the North Star, right?
I don't know. Why, is it surrounded by a lot of like blackness? Is that why it's like, it like pops in one spot?
No, because it's part of the dog constellation. It's just the brightest. Like, it's just the brightest.
I meant the Polaris one.
Oh, no. Well, people use it for navigation.
Okay. I don't know.
The North Star, it's like, you're lost in the wilderness.
I love.
But then you're trying to find the North Star, but you just seriously look at me. Woof, 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 bark, bark. I'll help you. You're like, shut the fuck up, Sirius. I'm trying to find the. Anyways, she's walking. She gets her package. She's coming back. And as she's passing, she decides to look up and be like, oh, maybe I was crazy. What's going on with the star? But when she looks up, the star is completely gone. And it wasn't cloudy. And she just went to the end of the driveway and back. There was not enough time for the sky to change. It wasn't like 2 hours later where, the stars shift because we're rotating. So it was just gone. So here's another quote from Taylor. At this point, I think I've lost my mind, but maybe somehow my perspective shifted and maybe now it's behind the tree line ahead of me. So I speed walk through the trees and I snap my head on the other side, but there's no star. It is completely gone. And the feeling of being watched is also gone. Obviously, when you see something in the sky, your first thought might be aliens. I don't know if that's what it was, but it left me feeling incredibly confused, and I just don't have any explanation for what I saw or how this star just completely disappeared.
It goes back to the idea of like, how are you being watched from so far away?
It scares me. Like that does, I know we kind of just already touched on it, but
yeah,
it's like also in like the movies where like a satellite can like, and it's just like you see that person. It's Tom Cruise. I don't know why it's Tom Cruise. You can find taller people, but you find Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And they're like, his tooth is in the middle of his smile. But he's just right there. And like that stuff, like somehow that does play into my fear of heights. Like satellites imaging us. Like I
mean, like it does that tight zoom thing, and it's just Taylor with the package going, "What the hell?"
It's Florida.
Well, she's confused. It comes out.
So those are our 4 stories. Those are our 4 listener submissions regarding aliens, our extraterrestrial encounters. Let's talk about them a little bit more in the discussion. All right, Rough Chuck. We got Gracie, Canada. So the parents and her in the car and the dogs, and they see the red light. We have Bridget, who took a little snooze allegedly on the side of the road, but also the blinding light. Hear the phone call didn't sound like Jules, but it said it was from Jules.
Yeah.
And then we have Leah in Egypt, where her family likes to party on the rooftops and drink tea. And they saw a weird triangle light formation. And then we have Taylor, who went to go get a package at the end of her mile-long driveway.
Yeah.
And felt like she's being watched, saw a star, noted the star, wasn't the North Star, walked away, came back, and the star was gone. No clouds.
There were not as many, like, actual sightings of alien entities as I would have liked.
Well, these are listeners submitted. These aren't no sleep Reddit where aliens shake their hands and they get scars, and like these are slice of life experiences with UFOs.
Have we ever gotten a listener submission where someone went face to face with an alien?
No, we had that one where the dude was being chased by it and his like door remember his door handle rattled?
I dream about that one, yeah.
There was that one girl who like she thought it was a helicopter outside.
Yeah, I remember that. Was that the same episode?
I don't know. And then you told one about a dude, like Richard, I think his name was. It was from like the 70s, and I think his friend got abducted.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one too.
Like it was him and his friend, and when he woke up, his friend wasn't there.
Yeah, but we've never had one like I saw this alien, like signs. But that's okay. Maybe one day. But these stories are all really.
He's like, but these are like okay, like
no, they're more than okay. These are really fascinating to me.
That was a nice 180. They appreciate that.
But I do like the idea of being watched. It just from so far
I like
away.
the idea of it.
It's fascinating. Like
you're being watched right now.
I mean, in theory, I am. Yeah. But from so far away, like so far above you, like these cameras just like, or is it like almost like through the mind? We have no way of knowing, but it's such an interesting way to think about it. Like, how do they know? Maybe they don't know. Maybe it's us putting our perspective on it because we see it. So now we think they know, but they don't.
I think the aliens were flying by and she felt watched and they were like,
"Oh, that's a really long driveway. It just keeps going on forever, ever.
I think that's what was happening.
Yeah, no, they just they're like, wow.
That's why she was being watched. Because I think a lot of the times they're probably not looking at
people.
They can't look at everyone. It might, and you know what? Also, the sensation that we have, that we call, I feel like I'm being watched. It could be another sensation. We just don't have another bucket to put it in. The easiest bucket that we have in our mind is, oh, I'm getting a weird feeling. I don't know what to call it. I'm going to Kobe it into I'm feeling watched.
We just don't have another place to put it, essentially.
Yeah, it could be your body reacting to aliens being around and you just don't have that button where you're like, oh yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night last night. I was freaked out because I felt aliens were around. But yeah, I went back to bed and it was fine.
Yeah, no, I had agita, but weird night comparatively. I think, but the second story was Brittany? Bridget.
Close.
That one is scary to me on another level because maybe she just fell asleep, lost track of time that way. She had a dream. It was scary. Okay. Or she was abducted and she lost time. And she doesn't remember all of it because that's how they do it. They do the memory thing on you. And then they put you back in the car. Ooh, it gives me chills to think about it.
It is kind of like the perfect story where somebody could make the most intense argument that it was just a dream and somebody else could make a very intense argument that it was alien.
Yeah.
Like the details and the clues, like if you think like a true crime type of a thing, like there's so many clues on both. Like if you truly believe in aliens and alien abductions, it's so easy to say, oh yeah, this could definitely be an alien abduction.
Yeah.
But I mean, like pull off the side of the road, exhausted, lost an hour and a half, very much like a nap time. And also she was woken up by the phone ringing.
Could you fall asleep for an hour and a half comfortably in a car?
Comfortably?
Yeah.
Does that matter?
I don't know if I could. If I wasn't comfortable enough, I don't think I'd stay asleep. I don't think I'd sleep that hard.
When I did Meals on Wheels, and I had to go really, really early mornings for for a long time, my body was just adjusting to it. And about an hour from there, on 271, I remember I was like, I have to pull over, and I pulled over, and I literally slept in this like hotel's parking lot, and that might have been for like 45 minutes, but like it didn't. I was just so exhausted, it didn't matter. I knew I needed sleep, and I just crashed. Not literally crashed. I parked. Parked the car and drive. So I have no issue thinking that she slept for an hour and a half until the phone rang. That part, there's a lot of things that could get me. That one, I'm just like, yeah, I could. If she was really that exhausted.
I feel like if she was that exhausted, she would have an inkling she was.
She did say she was exhausted.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, let me run this by you. Let's pretend 100% alien, right?
Yeah.
Let's go all the way on that side of the equation and say this was an alien abduction.
Oh, are you halfway there?
Talk to me about this phone call. What are your thoughts?
I think, okay, so I get real Rick and Morty in my mind kind of thing about this. It's their attempt, the alien attempt, to get information from her without her realizing what's going on in her own mind. They're putting on a facade of the friend from her memories to discern information.
What do you think they're trying to get out of her?
Well, she didn't really say anything to the phone call, right?
Well, no, she heard the voice,
Yeah.
and it was so strange, and she wanted to make sure it was Jules, and she looked at her phone, and it was just like, she said it was like 100 times brightness, just in her face, blinding her.
Listen, I've woken up from sleep, and my phone's been about that bright. I get that. I don't know what they would be getting from her, just because there's not more to that conversation. She kind of just ended it after the first question. But if she actually had the whole conversation, we might be able to discern what it wanted. Maybe you just wanted to know her life, like what was going on in her life, like why was she going out this late, like a needy parent.
I feel like it wasn't even through the phone, right? Like it's probably telepathic. If it was, this is still, we're still under the umbrella that this was aliens. So if it was aliens, it probably was telepathic.
Yeah,
like I don't think it was through the phone. I think the phone was just a mechanism to begin the conversation.
I don't think she's even awake in her car. I think she's asleep on a ship. I think she's almost in like a test tube kind of thing.
I was thinking that was really happening.
If she's lost that much time, I feel like she's not even there. Like they got her.
See, I was thinking that was the lead up to it because she looked at her phone as bright, then she noticed brightness all around her. That felt like that was the moment. It was like that was her last conscious moment on Earth.
See, in my mind, she's waking up from whatever they've done to her on the ship. It's this light, and they're like realizing this is where the memory needs to be wiped.
Maybe. I mean, that's the cool thing, is that we don't know. It's such a unique thing though, because we've told stories where aliens have talked to people telepathically. I mean, even that one where the dude was going like in his truck to like a meetup point, and remember the thing was flying above him, and it was like I'm following you, I'm above you. Remember that dude?
The Japanese guy?
No.
Oh
no, it wasn't.
The other guy.
Yeah.
That's the episode Rough Chuck.
I know there was a dude in the car with him in the truck because they were going to the drop off point.
Yeah.
And I remember the dude next to him was probably just like, who's he talking to?
Who are you talking to?
But just, like those moments where we know that we've done stories where the aliens are talking to them telepathically, but a phone call and pretending to be the friend and to know that this is where it gets really scary if this is real. The alien knows that she's going to see Jules and pretends to be Jules. It reminds me of Smile too, where it's like being the friend. Now that's demonic. That's, a creature, but like.
That was a wild twist.
But like to know, spoiler alert, to know where you're going, what you're doing, and who to call you from. Yeah. Like that's so much information to know. You know what I mean? It just makes you wonder, like, how do they obtain their information? What else do they know? And how do they know that?
Maybe they're on Earth. Maybe they're people on Earth and they're just like moles.
And they were even close enough to her voice.
Yeah.
Now that makes me think maybe, like what you're saying, where they're pulling from her.
Yeah.
Like it's her, like it's not quite good enough, but it's enough to try to emulate what her life is like in the voice and the character, I mean, you could say this. I'm just thinking about Smile too. I'm like, you could say the same about her. I mean, they did a damn good job, but it's because they're in your head, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we got Leah and Taylor.
Leah's story was the one in Egypt, right?
Correct.
Again, bummer that they couldn't go outside again, just because it was almost traumatic enough for them where they're like, well, not doing that again.
That's why I think it's so strange is the reaction.
Yeah, I agree.
But they also left a year later, so it's not like they...
Yeah, that is the weird part, though, is that everybody in the family said, no, went inside. And
then Taylor, just UFO?
I think the weirdest part is how far her driveway is.
Now, I feel like I've seen stars that have disappeared, and it wasn't necessarily a cloudy night, but like, maybe you just can't see the clouds, or they're like wispy.
Could it have been like the ISS or something?
It would still be moving. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you can even see the ISS moving. Like this, to her, felt like a bright... I mean, she thought it was the brightest star.
Yeah. I mean, could have been any kind of misidentification.
Out of all of these, this feels like the most potential to just be misidentification.
Yeah.
Because she didn't even really see it moving. She thought it was a star. So it would have been like a hovering UFO. But the fact that you look, it's gone. Like I've seen weird things in the sky where it looks really bright and then you do walk and it's gone. But I don't necessarily think it's a UFO.
But hear me out. What if she just misremembered where the star was?
I mean, she said that she went back, and I'm thinking this is like 5 minutes, not like an hour.
But like you think it's one place. I put my keys down for 5 minutes and they're gone.
Out of all these stories, that one is the most likely to be just a misidentification of a very naturally occurring star or something in the sky that maybe wasn't a UFO. She did feel watched, though, which made her look there.
Hey, this is Skunk Ape.
Skunk Ape, yeah.
What's up, Taylor?
Skunk Ape was looking at her, and then she's too busy looking at this real star. He's like, this is weird.
He's like, I'm going to go.
Did we talk about Gracie's at all?
No, not really. It was just a Canadian flag. I guess it's red. So they see this thing, right? And it's like
This red light.
it was hovering. Is that right?
It was coming towards them. But yeah, I think they weren't really descriptive of how high it was.
Yeah.
But they saw it out the passenger window, and it looked like it was coming towards them.
I mean, the point though, if it was chasing them for real, they wouldn't have got away.
Yeah, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know what else it could be. I guess that comes down to a lot of this, right? What else could this be? It could be a drone. Well, this was a while ago, right?
Their version of time was about an hour. Like where people put 2017 or they put about an hour.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know the year.
All right.
But yeah, no, it could be a drone. It could be a spotlight. I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be something. But they believed it was coming towards them.
It's just so hard to pin down. Like, it could just be a mystery.
That's boring.
I don't know. If they're seeing us, it's an intelligent move.
Well, one factor in this too is that once it started getting closer, the dogs started freaking out.
Yeah, dogs do that.
But they didn't freak out the whole other time. And there were even coyote around. The dogs didn't freak out.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say like
she said that the dogs were calm. I cut it because everyone says that. Oh, my dogs are normally okay. But like that was what kind of broke them out of the trance.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna go through this. You ready?
Yeah.
Gracie from Canada, viable. Bridget from Arizona, viable. Leah from Egypt, believable. And Taylor from South Florida, skeptical. So Gracie from Canada.
Gracie from Canada. I go, yeah, viable.
Bridget from Arizona.
I go believable on that.
So you think that is alien for sure?
I do.
She appreciates that, I'm sure. Leah from Egypt.
Believable, for sure.
And Taylor from South Florida.
I hate to do it. I go unbelievable. I don't think it's an alien. I think it's something else.
So that is Extraterrestrial Encounters Volume 3.
Volume 3.
And reminder, there will not be a Volume 4 unless y'all just start coming in with all your stories, which, by the way, if you want your listener-submitted story on the episode, again, does not have to be alien. I'm joking.
Doesn't have to, but if you want more of these, it does.
I'm not actually joking, but it can be a haunting, it can be a cryptid. We love the cryptids. I love the cryptids. Go to believingthebizarre.com. In the main navigation, go to submit your experience. There's a form there. Pack that thing with as much information and details about your story as possible. Let me know you have calm dogs. Let me know that your dogs normally don't bark, but in this one instance where something paranormal happens, they start barking.
Yeah.
Let us know your blueprint of your house. I need to know the relation to your kitchen and your bedroom.
Like, it might not make it on the episode, but
we'll
give
know.
as much detail as you can. And again, we talked about up top, if you want to give us your opinions, the best way to do that right now is to fill out the survey that we have in all of our social medias. Is it linked in this episode?
It'll be in the episode description.
It'll be in the episode description. It's easy to find. Fill it out. Tell us what you think. There's like 21 questions, I think. And when you fill it out, you have the chance to win a BTB shirt and a $50 gift card.
The only request we have is if you do win, please be comfortable giving us a shipping address.
Please.
We
can't just give it to you.
Yeah, we can't just throw it out in the air and be like, catch.
I hope you find it.
Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, you want to let us know, you want to let other people know, you want to show your appreciation for the podcast. If you're on Apple, you can leave a 5-star review and a one-time comment. It goes a long way. But if you are on Spotify, you can comment on every single episode, including our last episode, which is Spring Heel Jack and the Gorbals Vampire.
Gorbals Vampire.
And here's a couple comments we got on that episode on Spotify. Davin Sean 10 says, we should start keeping a monthly tally on how many times Charlie says Faye, lol.
I don't think it's that many.
Denise says, Tyler wheezing at the end has me crying at work right now. That is my favorite blooper.
We couldn't even listen back to it.
No, when we were here earlier this week, I'm like, let me listen to it again. And even that gave me the same reaction.
We had a good time.
We don't use the sound. I know I did a little today, but we normally don't use the voice changing stuff. So when we do, it just ruined the almost call.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
It's funny because I cut it from the episode too.
Yeah, that's okay. Reno Oregano says math equal red. Check.
Check.
English equals blue.
Yep, correct.
History equals yellow or orange.
Correct.
And science is green or purple.
Green, but yes.
All right, you get
I totally agree with that.
Well, you heard it here. So thank you everybody so much for listening to this episode, submitting your stories. We appreciate you. As always, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre.
A podcast as bizarre as you are.